America's Pulse Network welcomes you to the Pulse Podcast. Today we've got a packed show, from breaking news to informative topics that will keep you well informed. So, please click the subscribe button to get notified of upcoming episodes. If you like what the APN's The Pulse Podcast talks about, then please share the Pulse with others. During this episode of The Pulse, the host looks forward to your comments. Tonight's APN's The Pulse Podcast starts now.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Tim Fazenbaker. I'm your guest host tonight on The Pulse, and we have some breaking news to start out with. Jesse Jackson has died. Born in 1941, died yesterday, February 17th. Cause of death right now is unknown, but he did suffer. And he was 84 years old. More to come. Jesse Jackson, dead at 84. Tonight, I'd like to start off with a little bit about America, where we are and where we're headed. And it's been a while since I've been on The Pulse, and I'm thrilled to be back on tonight. And I think about the last time I've been on versus now and what's been going on. We've seen this transition with President Trump and the Make America Great or America First agenda, and what's been changing and drastically changing in our country, and yet the fight that we still have. This episode tonight is called From the River to the SAVE Act. And for many reasons, we'll talk a little bit about the issues with the river in Potomac, in Maryland, and down into D.C., and the SAVE Act, which is hopefully going to save America from things like this Potomac River issue. And when you think about what President Trump has done and transformed, whether you like him or not, transformed not only politics, but our government. And then you think about just in a couple of years, what could happen when President Trump, if President Trump ends up leaving the office, which I believe he will. But you think about people like AOC that make idiotic comments like she did in Munich, talking about how Venezuela is south of the equator, which it's not. And just other Taiwan comments that make you think, is this the type of leader that we want? Someone, again, that is, one, a puppet for the New World Order, the one world, one global government, or do we want somebody, again, to carry on what President Trump has done and what we are seeing? And it all ties into this next bill, the SAVE Act, if that stuff will happen. If this does not happen, we may never, ever continue on this great path that we are currently on. And if it fails, we may go back to where we were 10, 15 years ago, and you will see the decline of America again. So this current time that we are in is so important because it is the path of America. Are we going to be that golden age and continue, or are we going to be the socialist states of America? But let me bring in my guest tonight that you already know, some of my favorite people in the world. You have, I'll start with, we have the based mother is one of our special guests. I think I brought her on wrong, but I call her the Banana Queen, Eleana Barber. We don't have her picture up yet because I went out of order, but we'll bring her up soon. Our two hosts tonight, the Jersey Shore, hosted by Damon.
Age before beauty.
Age before beauty.
Yes.
So we'll bring up Eleana again. So on the Jersey Shore podcast, hosted by your own Damon Galdo, who is also running for Congress in New Jersey's District 1. We got to make him win that. Tough seat, but can be done. So Damon Shore, everybody. Also, the conservative corner, beauty before age. Seth Eisenberg, Mr. Jewish Jiu-Jitsu guy. Just wanted to make that up. And I think we're having a special guest coming on shortly afterwards with Josh Bernstein, probably in the next 10 or 15 minutes, a podcaster and investigative reporter as well, who I believe I met years ago in Arizona when I first got into politics. So I just want to say hello, all. And I notice the banana queen is eating a banana.
She must have ran for that so fast when you mentioned. That's why she wasn't one yet.
She keeps bananas in her pocket. Yeah. Inside joke. You have to have been with the Pulse since the very beginning to really understand that joke. But great group of people here. I'm glad to be here tonight and talk about some current issues. For guys who have been watching, I haven't been on much because I am currently running for a local office in Maryland. Maryland has its own set of issues, much like Jersey and much like many of the states in this union. But tonight we will be talking about all things America from the river to the SAVE Act. So, ladies and gentlemen, anything you'd like to say to start off this beautiful evening?
It's good to see you again, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I'm older and fatter, but thanks.
Well, that happens. I'm the same way.
Yeah, it's good to see. It's been a little, quiet in the news. I mean, there's mayhem, but it's just at this point we're used to like just this standard level of mayhem. So, we don't have any massive tragedies today. So I guess that's something to be thankful for.
Yeah,
that was my nickname in high school.
Mayhem.
Mayhem.
The All-State guy.
I was not in high school, but that's new.
Before we go into our first topic for tonight, one question that comes up with what Eleana just said is, what is politics going to be like in 3 years when President Trump isn't in office? Is it going to be boring again? Is it only going to be for people who are like us, who are political junkies that love it? Or is it just going to be a continuation forever now of this mayhem of current politics? Thoughts on that?
What do you want to go to? I'll take this one. I think it may be boring. I think it might be. It depends who gets in. I mean, you only have one Trump. I mean, everyone that tries to be like Trump, it's not going to happen.
It'll be a letdown.
Yeah, he's entertaining. He pisses people off. Sometimes he pisses me off too. And I'm like, oh, why'd you say that? But I like his policies. I like what he's trying to do with this country, America first, and everything else. But I think it's going to be boring. But I will say one thing. I'm talking about Rubio's speech in Munich was much better than someone else's question that they took. We'll maybe get to that later. But that was like Reagan-esque speech, and he hit every point, and it was awesome. I listened to it at least 4 times already. I love Vance too, so I don't know how that's going to go when it was going to run from what. I hope it doesn't divide the party if they run against each other. I don't know. Hope they make a deal beforehand, but either one, I like them both. And but Rubio, just that speech he gave was great in my mind.
I just hate to be the Republican that has to come after Trump. That's going to be you can't even try to fill the shoes. You can't do what he does specifically. You have to. There's no way you can actually win. But
because MAGA's done. MAGA's done after that. But there's no MAGA. Trump is MAGA. That's it. So
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I think that's his legacy. I don't think MAGA is done at all. I would like for things to be boring again. I think we could, as a nation, use for our politics to chill out. But I also don't trust that Democrats are mentally stable enough for politics to get boring again. I guess we'll have to see. But I think MAGA can just take on maybe a slight shift in tone with a new leader. But it is. I disagree that it's going to be dead after him.
Well, I meant the slogan MAGA. Someone's going to have to come up with their own thing. Trump is MAGA, so they can't ride off MAGA's coattails. They got to come up with their own thing similar to it. But that's what I meant by it.
I can sum up everything after Trump with a simple question. Everybody knows what, excuse me, man. We had the big, Jimi Hendrix. What he played, now I can't remember the name of the concert he played back in the 60s, the big one.
Woodstock.
Who played after him? Exactly. Nobody knows, nobody remembers, and nobody cares.
Weren't you at Woodstock? Weren't you at the original Woodstock?
After? Yeah, he was celebrating his 40th birthday.
If everybody remembers Hendrix and when he played the national anthem and blew it out. Yes. But the guy that played right after him, I don't know. When Trump leaves office, who's the next president? I don't know. Somebody. Yeah. I think that's how it's going to be. He's going to overshadow whoever comes up next.
Yeah. So our top story tonight.
This is a little bit scary and foreboding. I just Googled. It says Jimi Hendrix was the last act. So let's hope that Trump's not the last president we ever have.
Yeah.
I thought he started it off with the national anthem.
That's why nobody knows who was after him, because there wasn't anyone.
Maybe everybody's enjoying nature.
It was a good analogy, though.
I think it was Cardi B that played after him.
Cardi B makes music for women to spray Febreze in their panties and don't wash them.
I wouldn't know anything about that. Onto our top story, one of my favorite things that just came out the other day. Damon, we're going to pull up our first picture here. This story is about Randy Fine.
Oh, yeah.
And he talks about these beautiful animals right here, man's best friend. Now, Eleana, this is your pup, right?
Yes. Now, he was at a friend's house looking out at the squirrels. Mm-hmm.
So Randy Fine made the comment that basically, if he had to choose between Muslims and the dogs, it would be an easy choice. Now, I want to go about it this way. Eleana, why are dogs our best friends?
Well, I mean, look at them. They're adorable. They're loyal. My dog he's got a great sense of humor. He makes me laugh a lot. He's very protective, has my back. And, they look out for the whole family. They watch the house. I mean, they just cheer us up and they love us no matter what condition we're in. And no matter how much on days when we hate ourselves, they still love us. So they're good companions. I see them as a gift from God. And we're supposed to take care of the animals. That's our job.
So if someone's Muslim, does that mean they're not good companions?
If someone's what?
A Muslim, does that mean they're not a good companion?
No, not necessarily. I mean, every human being was also created by God. So I think what Randy was getting at was, if I have to choose between allowing Muslims in my country or allowing Muslims to have influence in my country and choosing to keep the culture of loving on dogs, I'm going to choose the culture of loving on dogs. And I think that most Americans would agree with Randy Fine. I mean, this isn't like, there's a dog and there's a Muslim human being there, and I get to only keep one of them alive in some imaginary scenario. I'm keeping the human being alive every time. No matter how much I love the dogs. So I don't think that's where he was with that, but I could see why, people just twist and decide to get totally bent out of shape very quickly about what he said.
Yeah. So the left media obviously is taking it as a slight on people who are Muslims, but even Megyn Kelly on the right took issue with what he said. So, playing devil's advocate, you have the belief that someone is saying that dogs or animals are favored over certain types of people. And you could say that people will cry during movies when an animal dies and not a person. But does that really mean that we think that people would choose a dog over a human because of their religion? Eleana?
Oh, no. I mean, no, I don't think in the imaginary life and death scenario, no. But I will tell you that I am not putting up with anybody who's going to come into America and try to tell us how to live and try to tell me that I can't have a pet because your religion frowns on it. You know what I mean? Like, your religion frowns on eating pork too. So now I'm not allowed to eat pork. I'm not going to be allowed to eat pork. No, this is my religious freedom allows me to love on animals, including dogs. So you're not going to come here and infringe on my religious rights and my lifestyle. This is America. That's all. That's where the line is drawn for me.
So speaking of pork, we'll go to our resident Jewish person here. and welcome to Josh Bernstein, who just came on.
Another Jewish guy here.
Yes. Another man of the tribe.
Sorry about that. I got the times a little screwed up, so apologize.
All good. We know how Arizona time is. So
Yeah,
but
we don't
welcome.
change. We don't make
Um,
liars out of clocks, as my wife would say.
So Seth, I'm going to bring up this picture of another famous person with the name Fine. And I want to know, as Damon pulls up this picture of my friend Larry Fine, are they actually mad that Larry Fine said this because they're both Jewish brothers? And I go to you for no particular reason. What are your thoughts?
I love dogs. I'm a dog person. Not that I don't like cats. Cats are great, but I'm a dog person, and I 158% agree with the statement that there are, and I don't mind if I piss people off. And I guess I should preface this with, just because I'm saying it doesn't mean anybody else on the panel or screen agrees with me. So please don't put my words in anybody else's mouth. Don't assume that because they're with me that they agree with me. I have met people that I would gladly trade in for an animal, a dog in a heartbeat, and not think twice about it. I've met people that I would not have peed in their mouth if their teeth were on fire, and I would have gone to with an animal before. Animals are, especially dogs, I think are the most. I think it's the closest you can get to heaven on earth is to be with an animal. I think it's just an animal is 128% into everything at all times. If they like you, they love you. If they're happy, they're happy, and they have no problem showing that to anybody. And yeah, I agree with what he said. And again, if I upset people, I upset people. Radical Muslim or a Newfoundland dog, I'm taking the dog 7 days a week and twice on Sundays, and not even hesitating. It's just that simple. And I agree with Elaine. This is America. When you came to this country, you understand what our culture was. So when you get here, you don't get to change it. And if you don't like it, you should have never come in the first place, because we're not changing it for you. It's that simple. Be involved, become part of, or get out and go back to your hole.
One of my favorite Three Stooges episodes, for the young people who don't know who Larry Fine is, he was one of the original Three Stooges, was when they thought they were eating cats and dogs in the restaurant. Now, I know, Seth, you're old enough to remember those episodes.
Yeah.
Curly is chomping up some sausage links, and they think it's the animal. So, do Jews eat dogs?
We're not even supposed to eat pork, but I love pork. I love bacon.
Me too.
I love sausage. It's good.
Baby back ribs, baby. That's one of my favorites.
Too. Baby back ribs wrapped in bacon would be awesome.
Yes, Donald W4. God gave us dominion over animals, and that is correct. So I'd like to bring up some other beautiful pictures of somebody else's pups. So for Damon Galdo, while we pull up these pictures here, look at this beautiful pup here. My question really is, should we as a nation, allow other people to tell us that we have to accommodate them to come here? Now, before you answer that, I think about places that you see no-go zones in Europe and other places around the world where they try to not offend and they try to placate, and they allow them to do that. Are we not as good of people because we don't allow this kind of stuff? Even though I think this country kind of does sometimes, should we allow them to change us?
To change us? No one should be allowed to change anyway. That's it. I mean, it's that simple. That's what this country was built upon. And we're the United States of America. We're one of the best countries in the world, one of the best ideas, one of the greatest documents that were ever written in the Constitution, aside from religious documents like the Bible, I would say. But, they shouldn't have allowed it all. If you want to come here, then you need to assimilate. Now, you can bring your culture, and that's fine. I said it before on the last podcast. Everyone loves to eat Italian food, go for Italian. Well, maybe not everyone, but I'm just saying people like to go out for Italian. They like to go out for Chinese or whatever it may be. You can bring your culture here, but you have to assimilate to the United States and live by our culture as well. But bring a little taste of yours with you. I don't care. It's fine. But we're not changing for you. And then as far as it goes with dogs, I probably didn't see my last radio show that I aired on the podcast on Friday. It's a new dog. I wasn't very kind about him. I always said I didn't want one yet. But my daughter and my wife wanted one so bad, and he's awesome. I said, listen, I said, I'm not going to pick up any poop in the house or clean up any pee. I said, I don't have time for it. I said, now's not a good time. And they're one-on-one, they one-on-one, they one-on-one. I'm like, fine, I'm going to cave, but I'm not doing this. I had, I set it up ahead of time. I had my disclaimers. And then I already got overruled and disclaimer. I'm picking up poop and pee as we're training them anyway. So I knew it was going to happen. So
how do you pick up pee?
Well, like, so,
Just
but
curious.
a bunch of little, like, you got to do this like 1,000 times, So.
Can I jump in on this? Can I just say one more thing real quick? I think that the problem, this whole question of the dogs is about manners. In this country, manners have been lost. We don't have a common set of basic etiquette anymore. The etiquette is if somebody else likes birds and they want to have birds as pets, but I'm allergic to birds, then I just don't go over their house. And when I hang out with them, they come to my house. It's the same thing with the dog. If I have a guest over who I know really doesn't like my dog, I'll put the dog in the other room for a little while. You know what I mean? If they're coming to sleep over, you got to deal with the dog. You got to get used to it. Like we treat it, if we could just treat each other with manners and accept our differences without making everything into a political issue, we would be fine. Why we have to talk about dogs? No, and you know what? I'm going to go buy more dogs though. That's one. That's
there you go.
Me.
Let me. I'm assuming you guys were talking about the 3 million dogs that are going to be euthanized in Morocco. Upcoming in I guess for the World Cup or something crazy like that. I don't know if you were talking about that or not. But as far as immigration is concerned, I say this all the time. It's cost versus value. And back in the day when the start of the country and we were forming this country, immigrants that came to this country, they wanted to make this country better. They brought their culture. They brought their language, they brought their ways of life, they brought their arts and crafts and all these different things. And they helped create this great America. But that kind of switched about maybe 35, 40 years ago. And the immigrants that started coming to this country, it wasn't about what we can give to this country that's given us so much and made us so wealthy. It's what can we extract? What can we take from this country? And so I think the entire mindset kind of flipped and did a 180. And so that's why I say it's cost versus value. Do we really want these folks from Somalia in our country? What do they offer us? What do they give to make this country better? If their cost is more than their value, then clearly we don't want you. It's as simple as that. And so I think that's really where immigration needs to kind of focus on a cost versus value assessment.
So Josh, on that real quick, America didn't have immigration necessarily from the 20s to the 60s, and Ted Kennedy was behind a lot of bringing in the new immigration wave we've had since the 60s, bringing in people from third world nations that don't necessarily assimilate, and a non-European structure to, in a sense, what some people believe, the great replacement. Mm-hmm. Is that what we're seeing, and is that why a lot of our politicians end up placating and saying we need to change things to make others feel comfortable, when prior to that, it was you needed to come here and provide your worth to be in this country?
Well, I think that's a good point, but I think a lot of it has to do with liberal policies. Liberal policies typically, they don't, believe in procreation. They are less likely to be married. And so therefore they're going to have less children. So they look at some of these foreigners coming in and they say, well, if we bring them in, they're going to dance with the party who brought them, right? They're going to be the dance partners, meaning that they're going to vote for the party that brought them in. And that was their thinking. But even with a lot of these immigrants that come here after 4 or 5 or 6 years, they go, wait a minute, just because these people brought us in doesn't mean that they have our best interest at heart. And I think that that's a big part of this. But the bottom line is, when they have brought these people in, it was for votes, right? That's the whole reason. Why do you think they're upset about ICE? It has nothing to do with deportations. They don't care about these people. They don't want their illegal voter base to be dismantled, because let's face it, that's the only way liberals and Democrats can win elections these days. It's not like they have sound policies or fiscal sanity even, right? And so because of that, we have to mask our real reasoning here to say that it's empathetic towards these people, but in reality, it's not. If it was empathetic towards these people, they wouldn't have left the borders open during the auto pen years for 4 years, because what is more inhumane than having people come into a country that get on welfare so they can't better themselves, B, they could be raped or murdered on the journey into the country. And then, of course, what does it do to the American citizens that are here? It makes them less safe. I mean, all the Lake and Rileys out there and so many other people that have been murdered by these illegal aliens. And so what it does, as it's doing to Western Europe, is it's changing the overall vernacular, if you will, of what that country is supposed to be. And we don't want that here. That is for sure. I would love to see a moratorium of at least 10, 15 years, even on legal immigration, just so that we can get rid of the illegal aliens that have come here so that we can restart and restack.
Eleana, what does it mean, though, if a dog doesn't like you?
Me personally, I've never met a dog who didn't like me.
I can totally see that. But for people who believe that dogs are better judges of people, was Randy Fine trying to say something else, that these dogs maybe don't like certain people for certain reasons?
I don't know. I don't. We're going too deep on Randy Fine here. He was just saying, like, you're not touching our dogs, people. My dog has met Muslims and he has not attacked them. I do think that dogs are good judges of character. There are only a couple of people that my dog, for example, who loves people, has ever like growled at or given side eye to. And then I immediately am like, all right, I got your number. If my dog doesn't like you, I am one of those, this dog doesn't like you, then I don't like you either. So, Randy Fine saying that, come on, we're going too far. I agree with a lot of what Randy says. He's actually my rep here in Florida. I've met him. He's an all right guy. Not everything he says is perfect, but whatever. I think we're making much ado about
I actually love what he said. Yeah, completely. And the reason is very simple, because what he said is what we should all understand and believe about immigration. Immigration without assimilation is an invasion, no matter how you look at it. And if you're not willing to assimilate to the customs and culture of the country in which you are coming into, then why should we have you here? And that's what he was basically saying. So when this person said that we want to eliminate dogs, well, that's as American as apple pie. Just because they're eating dogs in other countries and destroying dogs like they plan on doing in Morocco, they want to euthanize 3 million dogs just to clean up before the World Cup. That's what I thought I was coming into as far as that. But I understand now where you're all coming from. You started with the point in New York where they said, one of the people in New York that works for, Mondani or whatever, said that they want to get rid of dogs because it's offensive to Muslims. Well, sorry, you need to assimilate to us. If you want to be here, what are you going to give us? Number one. And number two, how are you going to make this country better? And number three, what is your cost? How much is it costing us to have you here? And I really think that needs to be the number one front and center reason for immigration: cost versus value.
There should be no cost. There should be only value.
Yeah, no,
correct. I agree. There should only be value. Right.
And just imagine one thing. I'm just going to say this real quick. Imagine my wife and I moved to a Muslim country, and I said, "Hey, listen, you got to remove all your jobs."
I'm imagining that. Wait.
Yeah, she'd get me killed in a second. So, but just, I'm not wearing a job. So no one else can wear them. Because we're here. They're like, get out of our country. You're not going to come here and tell us what to do. You assimilate, and that's what it is. It's just common sense.
Again, it's back to
that's probably why he made that comment about the dogs.
Just like Ilhan, when she came here, she immediately wanted to change the rules of Congress to allow her to wear her hijab.
Yeah, Seth, you have it's quite known that your dog is racist. So, do you have an ankle biter dog? And what does it say about you if you do have or prefer ankle biters?
Whenever I see a dude with a little ankle biter, a little dog, I laugh. I like the big muscular guys. I bench press 5,000 pounds. I can push a car up a hill, and then bring out like a little Chihuahua. I laugh. I honestly believe a dog is a reflection of the owner. So if I grew up with Newfoundlands. From as far back as I can remember, we had Newfoundlands. 140 pounds, 150 pounds, 160 pounds. Big dogs. Dumb as a bag of hammers, but big dogs. Very nice dogs. And that's a dog. Chihuahua's a toy.
Chew toy.
You know what? Don't start discriminating against Chihuahuas. I don't have one, but
That's not a dog. A dog is like a dog, like an Irish wolfhound named Buck, the terror of the neighborhood. That's a dog. Then you got Fluffy, the Chihuahua. Really? That's what?
Well,
I'm gonna carry your little satchel when you go to the store. I'm gonna put Fluffy in the satchel.
Are you insulting Damon's Frenchie?
Different.
You're very close to insulting.
He's 40 pounds. He's muscular.
Chihuahua's what? 2 pounds, 5 pounds? That's a cat. That's a cat.
Well, I'll wrap it up by saying this. I think most of us know exactly what Randy Fine was saying, which is what, like Eleana said, if you're going to force us to choose and change our customs just to make you comfortable, that's not going to happen. That's not the American way. Unfortunately, there are politicians that do push these types of things to replace our customs and to replace what it means to be American. And I'm telling you, more than 90% of people in this country will choose a dog over changing to make somebody else feel comfortable.
Yes.
So with that being said, we're going to take our first break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about something that really stinks.
I know.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. The America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. APN's The Pulse, hosted by Alexandra, Damon, Eleana, and Seth. So tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X/Twitter, Rumble, Truth Social, Parler, Facebook, and YouTube. Join the revolution. Because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.
And welcome back. Now to a very close topic to me, the Potomac River issues that are going on that is stinking up the place, which is typical of Washington, D.C. President Trump has came out and said, clean up this mess. And Governor Westmore, the wannabe president that will never be president because he's one of the worst people running the state of Maryland, which I happen to live in, has let this fester and has probably the largest sewage spill in American history. And it is polluting and it is killing animals and it's making a mess. And there are so many things that we think about that government should take care of, but yet a lot of politicians and government officials will say that we as the regular lay people have to change so that we can follow these things, yet they let this stuff go. And in Maryland, this isn't the first time. We've had spills in Baltimore City where you see the fecal matter just flowing through. We have a wastewater treatment plant called Back River, not far from me, which has these same issues. And it's poisoning people's lives. It's making life hell. And President Trump made a statement that he will be talking, he will have FEMA come in and clean up the mess if Maryland and DC will not handle it. So I'll start with you, Josh. We're gonna make sure your connection's good here too.
Yeah, I think it's much better now.
It is.
It is.
So what are your thoughts about what President Trump said about bringing in FEMA to handle issues that these states and jurisdictions are just not handling?
Well, it just goes to show you that liberal-run states typically are run bad and terrible, and therefore, even when something happens, whether it be this type of spill or whether it be a storm or whether it be a fire, as we saw in California, it's always going to be an incompetent response, a la Hawaii and many others, right? Louisiana, even though Louisiana, of course, is a red state, but again, you had Mayor Nagin, Democrat. So when these Democrat-run cities experience these issues, it's like they've either spent all their money on woke ideology or whatever, or they just don't have the wherewithal as business-minded people to actually roll their sleeves up and get to work. And I think that's the beauty and the genius of President Trump. As far as Wes Moore is concerned, I've said it before. I think he might actually be the Democratic Party's nominee. He's a minority. He's a military person, although a terrible record, more stolen valor probably. And he's a governor. And so they're not going to go with a female. So AOC and word salad's not going to happen. Gavin is too crazy and slick. And then, of course, Pickle Pete, they're not going to elect him either. So I don't really see anyone else on their bench, so to speak. But if this situation in Maryland gets really bad and it shows how incompetent he is, well, then he's not going to be the person either. So I think it's a test for him. He said that he asked President Trump nicely. It was kind of a arrogant, elitist way of asking him, do your job, right? Of course. But at least he asked for help. So we'll see what happens. Look, the bottom line is, look at how fast President Trump cleaned up Washington, D.C. Again, another liberal-run city. But now having jurisdiction over that city, he was able to take care of business and make it safe. So we'll see what happens.
One of the issues that occurred in Maryland because President Trump cleaned up D.C. is many of the vagrants from D.C. just moved over into Maryland and started their crime syndicate in Prince George's County and other areas in this state. Now, a couple things about Wes Moore is, yes, he has a stolen valor issue. He has a made-up story about his grandfather with the KKK. He's got issues with his thesis at Oxford when he said he was a Rhodes Scholar. And Maryland is one of the worst-run states. And it's not just this river, but you are seeing what liberalism and progressive ideology is doing to a state. Now, some of you guys, I know I'm going to be going to Damon next in New Jersey. You're living through things like Maryland and California as well, where you have, in a sense, one party rule that is destroying things. But my question to you, Damon, is where are the environmentalists? How come they are not speaking up on something like this?
Good point.
Well, because they're Democrat controlled. The environmentalists are, you look at the Green New Deal they were pushing out there, global warming and everything else. It was all a Democrat-led initiative. And that's why they're not talking about it, because it's a problem that happened that they don't want to talk about, because they don't want Trump coming in and fixing it. They don't want the Republicans getting involved and being the heroes to come in and fix it. It's all suppressed in that way. It's the same thing with, I mean, you can look at any issue possible that you possibly look at. You could look at where are the feminists when it comes to men playing women's sports, and there's a reason why, because they're on one side and not the other, and it's hypocrisy at its biggest form. That's what it is, and that's exactly why you don't see them coming in. It doesn't matter if there was a plague in Maryland, and they found a cure to it, but Donald Trump or a Republican found a cure to it, they would deny it. They wouldn't talk about it. They would let people die, because the Democrat Party is a soulless party. That's what they become. They become a soulless party. Absolutely, 100%. I believe that with all my heart. They don't care. Just like Josh was saying about earlier, about the border, open borders, let people in. They don't care about those people. They don't care. Oh, they're seeking asylum. No, they're not. They want them in for votes. They want them in for power. And they're just a complete soulless party, and that is exactly why they're quiet on it.
Yeah. So, Eleana, the belief in the left ideology is that you have to be an effective manager. to make socialism work. Yet you see in America, you have the great belief that you got 50 states that can run differently. You don't typically see these issues that are happening in Jersey and California with the fires and everything else and the homeless and in Maryland. Is this a bad management issue? Because some Republicans believe that they can do what the Democrats are doing and just be better managers of it. Or is this more about individualism is better than collectivism?
Well, I'm glad you asked. The real question is, yes, the answer is yes, this is a management problem. So yes, Josh brought up about the big test now on the cleanup on how they're going to handle it. But the test already came and was already failed. The test was maintaining systems that serve your communities and don't send up to 300 million gallons of poop into our Potomac River. So they already failed the test because you can look at all the things they've spent money on in Maryland. It certainly isn't reading and writing and teaching the kids how to count because, Maryland schools are an absolute atrocity. But it is on, woke agendas, LGBTQIA2 spirit representatives in every office and DEI and above all illegal aliens. So they failed to do the basic things that they as a government are supposed to do. This is definitely a management problem. It doesn't mean that other states don't have problems, but, because even in a perfectly run, organization, things are always going to go wrong. We are just living life on this planet, waiting for the next thing to go wrong, even when we've done our best. They're not doing their best. So 2 thumbs down. They failed the first test. They're going to fail the next one too.
Well, with this current state of the river, it might be three thumbs down for some people. So that's a joke that maybe some people didn't take in a second.
I didn't really get that, but okay. Maybe you can tell me on the break. Yeah.
Well, you have all the pollution going on, and then the offspring of people are going to be three thumbs. But we're going to move on to
toxic. It's just like poop and stuff. So, right?
She called the shit poop.
Seth. Go in Madison, by the way. I got that.
Seth, I want to talk about states' rights here. So it's the Commerce Clause and things that are written into the Constitution will allow states to hold other states accountable for certain things. What is the situation here? If a state like Maryland and we'll just say in DC, which is not a state, thankfully, if they are hurting other states, say Virginia and let's say Virginia, is this something that Virginia could turn around and sue for? And is Maryland and DC, are they responsible for the destruction of other states?
Yeah, this is not a natural disaster. It's not like a dam broke and things got flooded or there was a big rainstorm and things happened. This was preventable with just basic preventive maintenance. If they'd monitored things and kept up with stuff, this wouldn't have happened. So, yeah, they're responsible and they should be sued. And if the state doesn't sue them, individuals should sue them. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Potomac, it's not as clean as it was before, but this isn't helping. It was never like, it's pristine. Let me go get a cup out of the river and suck it down because I'm thirsty. It's worse now. And going back to a second ago, we were talking about management problem. I think the problem is we've hired managers. There's a reason in the military they don't say, hey, we're going to promote you to a management position. They say we're going to promote you to a leadership position. Being a manager, and I'm not trying to knock anybody who's a manager, so please don't take what I'm about to say that way. I could train a monkey to be a manager. Here's the company handbook. Read the handbook, follow the rules, make sure they follow the rules, go. Anybody can do that. With a leader, you don't give them the book. You tell the leader, hey, we're here. I need us to get here. Figure out how to do that and make it happen. And a leader will do that. They don't need a book. They don't need 45 people looking over their shoulder going, hey, remember paragraph 7A, 42.3, we can't do that because HR will get mad. A leader will get you where you need to go. And if there were leaders in these management positions, we wouldn't have this problem because a leader wouldn't let it get to this point. And when it does happen, a leader will stand up and go, look, I screwed up. This is my fault. It was my watch. I didn't prevent it. I'll take the hit. Let me fix it. And on the flip side, a leader goes, hey, if everything goes well, I had nothing to do with it. It was my people. They did it all. They took care of it. They took the ball and ran with it. I'm just here. I don't deserve praise. The problem is we have too many managers in positions where we should have leaders. That's the problem. And people aspire to be a manager, and that's disgusting. And again, I'm not knocking managers. I'm saying there's a difference between a manager and a leader. And depending on the position you have, you don't want a manager, you want a leader. Someone who knows how to get things done, can motivate people and make everybody feel as important as they should feel. Because the more important you feel, the better job you do. Had we had a leader in Maryland, this would not have happened. This would not have happened with a leader. We have a manager, and this was outside of his book. He wasn't told to look at it. He wasn't told how to take care of it, and it broke. Now he's blaming everybody else around him. It's not my fault. It's this person's fault. It's not my responsibility. It's their responsibility. And like Eleana said, until you get out of that mindset, it's never going to get better. It's only going to get worse. We need leaders. We need leaders. No more managers. Get away from the managers. We want leaders.
So it was Seth. So with that being said, you're right. Governor Moore has been saying that the infrastructure was supposed to be handled by the federal government there. Is there any truth to that?
No, this is his state. Why is he looking to? If it goes right, it's all him. If it goes wrong, it's everybody else.
Yeah.
Had this gone perfect, he'd be like, "Look at what I did. My administration did all this. This is great. But now that it's bad, oh, look at the federal government. They screwed this up, dude. It's your state. This is your responsibility. It's nobody else's responsibility. Stop being a little whiny bitch. Stand up and assume the responsibility that you screwed up. Fix it. Stop pointing fingers and get to work." But he won't do that. I mean, the man lied about awards in the military. He lied about his the man is a liar. He's incompetent, and he is the world's greatest manager I've ever met. He is a manager to the M. He can't think outside of anything. So that's why I don't even think, I guarantee in the military he's probably treated the same way. He probably could not lead unless he was told what to do and how to do it. Okay, guys, maybe we can find out what we're supposed to do today. He's not a leader. There's very few leaders in politics anymore. And it's his responsibility. It's his state, his people, his infrastructure. Nobody else's. Nobody else's.
Well, Tim, I do have one question, quick one.
Yes.
Now, we were talking about could they sue the state, but you guys both live in Maryland, so a lot of that poo is yours. That's flowing. You think you guys can be sued for it? I had to break up the monotony a little bit.
Governor Moore should have to swim in the Potomac as punishment.
Well, I would say Seth probably is closer to the Potomac, so it's going that route. My route would be more towards the Chesapeake Bay and then out into the ocean.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I'm gonna something that Josh and Westmore have in common is that they're both follically challenged.
That is correct.
Josh, I'm sure you've been out of the country, and I'm just going to assume you've been to Mexico since you live in Arizona.
A few times.
Going to third world countries like Bahamas and other places, you see this kind of stuff all over the place. You smell sewage. There's broken down infrastructure that never gets fixed. There's bridges that collapse. Is this what it's like to be in a third world nation? Are we seeing certain states like Maryland decline so much that we are like a third world nation?
Well, we're not a third world nation, but there are third world states, certainly. Look at California. That's one of them for sure. Look at Chicago and the city, Chicago. Again, these are all third world, basically. I mean, look at Minnesota. I mean, I call it Somali soda, if you want to know the truth. That's what I've been calling it. But as far as, how to change all this, I mean, I think it really comes down to teaching the young and getting them out of these indoctrination centers masquerading as public education. And I think that we need to have something where when a high school student graduates, if they want to go to college, they have to go to a third world country first for 90 days. Make a deal with the government that they'll be secure and safe, obviously. And they got to live in a third world country for 90 days. And then in order to get into the school, they have to write their dissertation, if you will, on their experience living in that country. And I think that if we mandated, actually use that word, these students to do that, you'd have a whole new generation of people that appreciate liberty, prosperity, freedom, economic policy, capitalism, and we would be away from a lot of the garbage. But that also starts with getting them out of the public schools, or homeschooling them, or putting them in online schools, or whatever you got to do, because these public education centers are indoctrination centers for the most part, especially in the big blue cities. They shove the wokeness and the DEI. And think about it, the participation trophy generation, right? Or the microwave generation, give it to me now, I don't want to wait or work for it. They're all online. That's where they were born and raised, basically. And so we have a whole new generation, sadly, of future leaders that are going to be using AI and all these other things. So I think a lot of these things stem from indoctrination and also the wokeness and the technology. And so we got to break away from that. But how do you do that? Everyone's got a cell phone. Everyone's got, all these different things. AI is moving at, breakneck speed. Literally what it could do 5 years ago is obsolete to now. I heard stories that not only could they do coding now, but they can redo the coding in the same day and recode that. And it's so scary. They say 50% of jobs are going to be lost in the next, 3 to 4 years. I think it's going to be more like 12 to 18 months, if you want to know the truth. AI is insane. There was a company that came out the other day that is now renting humans. That's right, renting humans. A chat bot hires a human to do a job and then double checks it and then make sure that the job is done right. That's sad. What about Albania has the first prime minister? That's all AI. Lawyers are using, they cut 1,000 lawyers from a Chicago law firm 7 days ago. Why? Because they can do everything. Scary stuff.
What was that, Albania?
Yeah, there's the country of Albania is the first country in the world that actually has an AI prime minister, or a minister in their government. You can look it up. It's for sure. Scary stuff. Scary stuff.
Maybe that is what we need here in Maryland and other states. And you know what?
Well,
management might be better coming from AI.
It probably would be better, honestly.
But visionary would always still come from a human, in my belief. So
the problem is self-awareness. AI with self-awareness is dangerous.
Just force people to take 2 years in the military after high school. Make it mandatory.
Yeah, you can do what Israel does.
2 years.
Sure.
Just 2. Any branch you want, but you have to do 2. When you get out, you'll appreciate things a lot more than you did before you went in.
I like that better than the third world country option. Sorry, Josh.
That's all right.
I didn't need to go to the military or to a third world country to appreciate and love America, because I was taught to love America and I was taught what this country stands on. That's all we really need.
Well, no, you're right about that, lady. You definitely are. I know we got to end this pretty soon, but you're right about that. But at this point, with the indoctrination in the schools, what Josh said, I was thinking to myself, I said it a million times, if they don't appreciate this country, then okay, send them over there for a couple months and live your life.
They'll just come home saying,
I know it'll never happen. But it's something that I wish we could do. Safely.
I think we've all had that thought.
Yeah, safely, and let them see what it's like somewhere else.
Exactly.
Come back, but it's never going to happen. There's no way to do that safely. They can hurt over there, whatever it may be. But at least, I don't know, maybe put an Oculus on their face and make them watch like they're living over there.
No, that's exactly that's what they're seeing now. That's what indoctrinated them. All they're seeing is, all these other people are suffering. We have to bring them all here. We have to bring anyone who doesn't have an iPhone and Nikes here now. So if we send them there, they're already in this either victim or oppressor or savior complex that they've been indoctrinated with, and all they're going to do is come home and want more immigration.
Oh, they will crap their pants. Don't let these
we're up against a hard break.
Yeah.
So
wait, just 1 second. The break. Get ready. Whatever. Listen, I told you I don't care about the breaks. So the thing is, the focus isn't look at how bad it is out there. Keep their eyes on America. This is what we want. We want you to love America. Teach them how good it is here. That's all they need to know.
Well, speaking about America, as soon as we come back, we're going to talk about how we're going to save America with the Save America Act.
Welcome to America's Pulse Network. This is APN's very own White House correspondent, Alexandra Levine.
This is so amazing and miraculous. We've never had a president in the history of our nation doing this. And we hope to God that he continues doing this forever and ever. Thank you. God bless you, everybody. And God bless President Trump.
And God bless you.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. This is Alexandra Levine with the America's Pulse Network. I am the White House correspondent right here in the heart of D.C. as President Trump is celebrating 250 years of America and the military.
Subscribe and follow America's Pulse Network on the above social medias.
Speaking of America turning 250 years old, almost as old as Seth, we are facing the election integrity and election issues that we have, and you have the Save America Act that is going on. The issue that is occurring, though, you have the Senate filibuster, which, if you don't understand, because it does get complicated, basically says it cannot go to vote unless they have 60 people to allow it to go to vote. There are other rules, things like standing filibusters, which will make people talk and stand, and they can get through this filibuster issue in certain ways. But let's pull up quickly a little bit about what the Save America Act really talks about here. So with the Save America Act, all voters must show voter ID. Second thing, all voters must show proof of U.S. citizenship to register for voting. And this is going to get into play in states like New Jersey and Maryland and others. And then lastly, no mail-in ballots except illness, disability, military, or travel. The left is trying to say that this is Jim Crow 2.0, and they are also making other excuses that women won't be able to easily vote because of name changes on licenses. And basically, America is saying, we don't really care. We want this. Now, this is another 80-20 issue where most Americans say, yeah, it makes it's complete sense to actually make sure that non-citizens and foreigners from other nations aren't interfering with our elections. Now, they used to say this stuff never happened, but then evidence came out. We saw people getting arrested. We saw one or two, and they kept saying, well, it's just one or two. It doesn't really matter. And then we saw more and more and more. And we're seeing things about going back to 2020 with what has been going on with the things that the conspiracy people had kept saying for so long that things didn't seem right. And I would always say, regardless of whether it was right or wrong, the perception is the responsibility of the government to make sure that we feel secure in our elections. So, Eleana, I'll start with you. Let's talk about this filibuster. Should the Senate stick with these types of rules because they believe that it slows down the process and that we don't want Democrats to get rid of this filibuster in the future and make DC and Puerto Rico states? Should we continue having this filibuster, or should we end up saying, you know what, let's go to the original way it was, where really it's just 51 votes that makes the difference?
I'm an originalist here. I think the filibuster is just they've overcomplicated this because they like the game. They like to have levers to pull against each other because this is the same as the Potomac test. Because you didn't do your job over here, now we have to suffer over here. And you're going to try to just drag this out. And what happens? It's really just a slow death for a lot of bills that need to get passed because they just drag it out until the thing ends up, just being put on pause. And then it gets put on pause forever and ever. And it never happens. And I think that we can see what's happened in this country is the overcomplication of all of our laws and all of our processes. It makes it harder for the American people to understand what's going on. It makes it harder for us to talk to our elected representatives. And they know that. And then they think that, they just pat us on the head and talk to us like we're idiots. I've met some of these people, and that is exactly how they talk to you, even when you know what you're talking about. And this is just one example of that. I'd like to simplify things, get back to basics, and get rid of the filibuster because it can be nuked anyway. Like, it's also dumb. It's just theatrics.
I agree. Josh, what are your thoughts
Yes.
about John Thune? Is he an effective leader of the Senate? Many of us said that we didn't want him because of his ties with Mitch McConnell prior to this. Is he effective? Is he going to do the right thing and give the American people and President Trump what we want and protect us? Or is he going to hold out because he is so entrenched and he believes what he is actually saying?
Well, a couple of things. Number one, with the SAVE Act, let's think about where we were and how we got there. We've been talking about this for the longest time. I've been talking about it since, I don't know, 3 days after his inauguration, I was pushing for the SAVE Act. And here we are now, over a year later, and we're still talking about it. But what has changed in the last couple of weeks? President Trump basically read the Riot Act in private to Senator Thune. So I'm answering your question that way as well, and said, you get this thing done and you get this thing done now. So what happened after that? He co-sponsored it. Once he co-sponsored it, the Senate Majority Leader co-sponsored the legislation. Now all the ant trails, all the other, rhinos got in line. And of course, one of the last rhinos, which is Susan Collins, which is our 50th vote. And quite frankly, we're not going to need J.D. Vance because Fetterman is going to be the 51st vote anyway. Now we have to concentrate on getting this onto a vote. Now, for people who don't know what this talking or, walking filibuster is basically you have 3 senators that are in their 80s. You have 7 senators that are in their 70s. And the average age of the Democrat senators, I'm talking Democrats only, is 65 years and 8 months. How long are they going to stand and talk? Not very long at all. Okay. Now, maybe they could throw a John Ossoff in there, or they could throw in a couple of these younger folks in there. But for the most part, it's going to be quick. And what happens is the minute they stop talking and they sit down, the vote starts. Okay. So we're going to get this thing passed. But the other part of this is what this does. As far as the filibuster is concerned, I hate to say this, but I kind of agree, as crazy as this sounds, as MAGA as I am, with Susan Collins. And here's what I mean by that. She wants to eliminate the filibuster and do the talking filibuster just for this, but she doesn't want to take it for everything else. And if you think about it, they tried to already do this to us once in the past. We had Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. But think about what they were trying to do and what they were trying to pass. So if we do this now, we eliminate mail-in ballots. Remember, there's nothing in the Constitution that says you have a right to vote by mail. It doesn't exist. So that's something that they made up. It gets rid of that. It's registering to vote. So it's not showing your birth certificate when you go to vote. It's registering to vote, showing that you're a legal citizen. And it's voter ID in every state. I mean, look at what Heels Up Headboard Harris, as I like to call her on my show, Hyena Harris, whatever you want to call her. She lost every single state, except for New Hampshire, that had voter ID. The ones that had voter ID, Trump won all of them. So what does this do? It forces all voter ID, which is something that 72 other countries around the world already have. But yet America, the superpower of the world, doesn't have voter ID? What, are you kidding me? So I think that we ought to nuke it for this and pass this. And if we do that, we have a very strong chance, once the economy comes back, of not only winning these midterms, but obviously we have to win in 2028 as well.
Great comments. Damon, you took your wife's last name when you got married. And this is one of the issues. This is one of the issues the left is talking about with the ID issue. So what on the perspective of your state and my state, New Jersey and Maryland, these states 20 some years ago purposely put in place that you could register to vote when you got your license. And we were fighting about, well, should these illegals here, should they have licenses so we at least know who they are? The long game was really, we wanted to get them to vote. So the issue that we're hearing is that it is too cumbersome and complicated for let's just go with the women aspect. When women get married, they need to find a birth certificate. They need to find a passport in order to register to vote. Is it really complicated? And is it fair that we make people jump through hoops, as the left would say, to actually be able to vote?
No, it is fair, but it's not. We don't jump through hoops. When I got married to my wife a contrary to what you said, she actually took on my name. But
Sure.
but she tried. She tried to go with Faust. I said no, not happening. I'm traditional. But no, it was simple. When we got married, we had a marriage license, went right down. She got her license, registered to vote in New Jersey. You register to vote in motor vehicles. So once she changed her license over to last name Galdo, they asked her right then and there, "You want to register to vote?" And she said, "Yeah, sure." And what she proved, because she had a birth certificate, it said Faust, and she had a marriage certificate, and she got her license. So it's a very simple thing. So this whole Jim Crow 2.0 stuff, it's unbelievable how people can even believe what people like Chuck Schumer say and say, "Oh, this is," and what Biden used to say, Jim Crow 2.0. It's you need an ID for everything. I mean, I work with the Department of Homeland Security and DRPA, stuff like that, and so everyone has to be verified for everything. And you need a license. I don't have to go through it. I mean, everyone says it all the time. Everyone that's watching right now knows the same thing that the Republicans say. You need a license for everything. You need ID for everything. In the state of New Jersey, it is against the law to walk down the street without an ID. Literally, do they force it? No, they don't. But it is a law that you can't have ID. So maybe that's why they give illegals licenses. And my biggest thing is, when they ask you if you looked into it or not, since they give, we're a sanctuary state, we're on the cusp of like sealing it off right now, sanctuary state. But we give illegal immigrant licenses here, and that's how you register to vote in, say, New Jersey. When you go get your license or an ID in motor vehicles, you can just check off the box and register to vote. If they don't check to see if you're legal or not, you just go and get your license. So give it to anybody, and that's it. And so I don't know if the SAVE Act here is going to stop that in places like New Jersey, because they can register to vote with their license.
So with that, certain states, I'm sure all states, are actually, they're incorporating the real ID, which when you renew your license, you have to prove that you are a U.S. citizen by showing a passport or birth certificate. I had to do this recently. And then they also issue licenses for illegals that don't have to go through that. And there's a whole thing about TSA and you're flying. So those issues are being addressed, I believe, in the SAVE Act and will be in other court battles, I believe. But generally speaking now, a lot of these states moving to the real ID, you're proving that you're a citizen to have this actual license. So therefore, we'll know who is allowed to vote and who isn't. But we only have a minute left. I want to bring in Seth real quick. Seth, is there a solution that the Democrats even have for this if we do not pass the Save America Act?
They don't want it to pass. That takes away a lot of their voting block. That we make people have to show IDs. They don't want a solution. They don't have a solution, and they're against it simply because this is what Trump wants. Like I think Damon said earlier, if Trump came up with the cure for the common cold, there'd be people marching out. Not getting the cold is racist. You're a racist if you don't catch the cold. It's pointless. All this is pointless because as soon as Trump gets out of office, and if they elect a Democrat, whatever Trump's done, that person's going to undo. And then if there's someone after him that's a Republican, he'll undo what he did. It's a joke. It's a joke. And I go back to it every time we talk. The government is not going to solve our problems. They're the ones that have created these problems. They've created these problems to keep themselves in a job. If it weren't for this, they'd be jobless. So they need this strife. They need the drama. They need the BS to continue so they can go, wait, we have the answers. Just give me 4 more years. Because there's enough suckers out there that'll vote for them again to give them more time and all. There's enough morons that don't pay attention. Stop looking to the government to solve your problems. The people, we the people, are in charge. We need to remember that. We need to start flexing again that we are the boss. You work for us. You're here at our pleasure. We got to get back to that, or none of this will ever change.
So we're going to go take our last commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Jesse Jackson and the era of race hustling. Is it over? We'll find out.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up. Because podcasts are the future for trusted media, welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. But America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. The New Jersey State House Watch, hosted by Jack Brangan and Constance Detzel. APN's The Pulse is moderated by either Alexandra, Damon, Eleana, or Seth. Also tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X, Rumble, Truth Social, Parler, Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. Join the revolution because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.
5 years ago yesterday, we lost the great Rush Limbaugh. One of the things that I would love and still hear in my head was Rush Limbaugh doing his impersonation of Jesse Jackson. And with Jesse Jackson also dying yesterday, it made me start reflecting on the history of my life dealing with the press and the issues that Jesse Jackson was always involved with. And I remember hearing stories about the conspiracy of whether Malcolm X was actually kind of killed by someone like Jesse Jackson who was coming up in the movement. And I know, Damon, we have a picture here of Malcolm X who talks about what the civil rights movement was really dealing with back then. And it says the white liberal is the worst enemy to America. And the worst enemy to the black man. The white liberal has perfected the art of using the Negro as a pawn.
Yep.
And we see this today. And I think about what Jesse Jackson tried to do with the Rainbow Coalition and how he basically became, in a sense, the forefront along with Al Sharpton on being the race hustler in a sense. But I talk about Malcolm X now more because he was correct. And we see a lot of the white liberals that do this. They really do look down on non-white people in a sense, and they think they have to be the savior. So I'll start with Eleana on this one here. Was Malcolm X correct? Do you know much about the relationship between Jesse Jackson and Malcolm X? And who would have been better for America as a whole if you could have let one person live till today? Would it have been Malcolm X or Jesse Jackson?
Gee, I got to be honest. I haven't read Malcolm X, the book, in about 35 years. So I don't remember. And I don't know a lot about their relationship, but I can speak directly to the quote about the white liberal using Black people as pawns. I mean, we see them being used in the welfare system, in the education system. They'll come out and say all day that we need more money for education to help these people of color. Meanwhile, in a city like we were talking about earlier, Baltimore, I think it's 7% of Black children can read at grade level. So, for all the billions and trillions of dollars that they pour into the Black communities, they actually do nothing to rise to help the community rise up at all. No one ever escapes the poverty that is the trap that the Democrats set for them. So yeah, watching them use them as a pawn actually makes me sad. I'm disgusted by it. I don't like watching an entire race of people being told that they're too stupid to get an ID, that they're not intelligent or capable enough to accomplish anything in this life without the help of the white liberal, savior, or any savior for that matter, besides Jesus. They absolutely treat them like dumb children. And I think I just think it's disgraceful.
Seth, I'm going to go to you for no particular reason. I'm going to bring up this clip here of something that Jesse Jackson said in 1984. And it made me realize, because I was too young to really remember this, but he called basically New York Hymietown. So you can see during his 84 presidential campaign, Jackson privately referred to New York City as Hymietown, basically a slur to Jewish people.
Yeah.
Any associated with Louis Farrakhan, which obviously hates Jews, hates whites, not a person that's friendly to people like you and me. Did you know about his past? And is this something that really negates him from being a rainbow coalition when he looks at Jews in a certain way and he pals around with anti-Semites and anti-white people like Louis Farrakhan?
I vaguely remember this. I mean, I was 12, I think, at the time, 12 years old. I know I'm good looking.
Youngsters.
I never liked Jesse Jackson. I don't care what he did in his past. I think he was a race hustle and pimp. And I don't care what people think good he did or what. I don't care for him. I don't care for Al Sharpton. I don't care for Farrakhan. I put them all in the same group. Race hustle and pimps who would do whatever they could to get famous and get money. I don't think they did anything good in the kindness of their heart. I think there was always an angle for them, and not just them. Anybody else who comes off, I'm a man of God, and I'm doing this because God tells me to do this, so you have to listen to me. Anybody who falls back on God like that ain't from God. Because if you're doing things for God, you just do it. You don't have to announce, I'm doing this because God leads me. People just know. So, no, I don't like Jesse Jackson. Never did. Don't care that he's dead. My life will go on like it did yesterday. Just fine. I can't wait till Sharpton gets held accountable for all the bullshit he's done and said. I can't wait till Farrakhan gets held accountable for all the bullshit and crap that he said. They're evil people. They're evil. And it's got nothing to do with anything other than they remind me of people who use words that are big because it makes them sound important, but have no idea what the word means. Every time Jesse Jackson opened his mouth, I remember that skit on Living Color when the guy was in jail. I can't remember which one of the Wayans brothers it was, but he would, my photosynthesis makes me more important and impotent when it comes to the matter at hand. What are you talking about? That's every time Jesse Jackson spoke, that's what I saw. I don't care for the man, don't care that he's dead. My life will go on. And guess what, Jesse? Hymietown is still there, and you ain't.
Yeah, now it's Islamistan.
Yeah, I don't care for him. I don't care.
So I'm going to bring up another clip here. Actually, with Josh, I'll leave this one for you. There's the belief that, in a sense, Jackson, some of the issues that he dealt with was that he was perceived as a shakedown artist. And we saw this, especially in the 80s and 90s. And you can see here, he had these controversies like the Rainbow Push and related entities with questionable fundraising and practices. In the early 2000s, there were complaints filed by IRS and FEC alleging improprieties and so on and so forth. He had some extramarital affairs and a love child, I believe. And outside of that, that's his personal stuff. But his shakedown artist that became jokes like on there's an episode of South Park that talks about this where he's like, you just kiss my butt, because this is kind of how they made their money. What do you think about his legacy with that perception that he was a shakedown artist with himself and people like Al Sharpton?
Al Sharpton, you mean? The race-baiting poverty pimp? Here's my thoughts on this. Jesse Jackson was the equivalent of a black female Gloria Allred. Anything that happened to anyone of color, he ran over there and got involved with it right away. Here's the bottom line. He contributed absolutely nothing, zero, nada, to the civil rights movement. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. As a matter of fact, all Democrats contributed absolutely nothing to the civil rights movement. Think about it. The Republican Party was founded on an anti-slavery platform. The Civil Rights Act was filibustered.
I think we might have lost him here. So, Damon,
Oh yeah, you were just about to say that the Republicans passed the Civil Rights Act.
Damon.
And so the bottom line is, who passed Jim Crow laws?
That's white privilege.
Southern Democrats. Who called blacks 3/5 of a person? Southern Democrats. Who were the ones that segregated schools and water fountains? Southern Democrats. So this whole notion that somehow blacks and Democrats in general have added any value at all to the civil rights movement is just absolute nonsense. And Jesse Jackson is a pure example of that. A race-baiting poverty pimp who showed up when the sirens came on and the ambulances came on. That's all he cared about.
Yeah. Damon, currently you have this new era of where you have the phrase black fatigue, where people are afraid, or not, they're finished dealing with, in a sense, ghetto culture. And you have this belief now that really, like, it's time that, the white guilt is over, and millions of Americans are just done with it. You have comedians like Ben Bankus. If you're not familiar with him, he's out there. He says things that you weren't able to say 5 years ago, and he's a comedian. Comedians should be able to say everything. So my question to you to wrap up this is the era of race hustling over?
No, it's not. There's always going to be something. We talked about the white liberals before. They're going to keep pushing it no matter what. They're one of the biggest problems. And I went through it with the Black Lives Matter when I lived in Philadelphia and everything else. And they didn't care about Black lives at all, that movement. None. It was another hustle. And they took millions of dollars from people, and it was the white liberals that pushed it forward. And again, it's a form of control from them, but in a way, and they make themselves, they grandstand on us. Oh, look what I did. And I don't think it's ever going to go away. I don't. I hope it does. I mean, I really do. I wish I could figure out a way to do it. It's just one thing that, what's his name? Morgan Freeman said in an interview one time, when they asked about racism and how do we get rid of it? He said, stop talking about it. Yeah. But they won't, because there's money there. You can divide there. The Democrats use it all the time. And the reason why they use it all the time, is that me? You're pointing at? Okay. But it's a tool. That's what it is. It's a tool to divide people, to get certain people in power. It's a tool to make money, because when there's blood on the streets, there's money to be made. And that's what it is. And that's why they're going to keep using it. And I don't think it's ever going to go away. I wish it would. I wish I would have an answer to it. Other than to just keep doing this podcast and run for office and try to change it if I possibly can. But human beings are inherently flawed, and are always going to do something that's just for themselves. And they're always going to have that type of person. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, brown, or whatever it might be. There's always going to be somebody that's trying to buck the system and trying to not care about the rest of the people. And they're supposed to represent. They're just going to care about power and care about themselves. So that's why I don't think it's ever going to go away.
Well, normally I would, I forget. I just saw a message pop up, but I just want to say that I appreciate you guys having me on tonight to guest host, and I believe I'm back next week to do this as well. Yep. And it has been,
thank you.
It's been great to actually see the program move from where it started to where it is today, and understanding that America really did come from the belief that we can be something great, and we are, and we're still facing these issues, and we always will face these issues. A couple of things I just want to run around the horn real quick. Damon, where can people find you?
Well, obviously, you can find me on the Pulse and the Jersey Shore podcast. I'm sure you'll see it at the end here, so I don't have to go through that. But you can find me at votedamongaldo.com. I am running for Congress in CB1 because I'm a glutton for punishment in New Jersey. And so you can go to votedamongaldo.com, and I would appreciate if you click on that donate button, because I am you want to bring out I got the golden hammer here.
Here's the hammer.
But I'm running up against a huge opponent. And it's a D+10, and I can use all the help I can get. So anybody can go to votedamon.com. You'll see what I'm about. Watch the podcast, watch the Jersey Shore podcast, and you'll see what I'm about. Yeah. And hopefully I'm doing everything I have. And I'm going to keep going on with this network. And Tim, thank you for coming on, man. I missed you. And I missed you since the first episode when we talked about the bananas, you know. That was the very first episode.
Yeah, thanks. Josh, I believe you and I met back in 2019 in Arizona.
We probably did. Yeah, I think with Alexandra during the Trump stock event.
Yep, the Trump stock.
I was a speaker there, and she was a speaker there, and
one of your congressmen were there.
Congressman Paul Gosar. He did the forward to my book, Preserving Liberty. So
awesome. Where can people find you?
Yeah, jbushow.substack.com. That is the main hub that I do a show 7 days a week. I never take a day off of doing a show. Mainly because the left doesn't take a day off from trying to destroy the country. So I always have to defend it every single day. That's why I do it. That's usually the answer I give. But I do about 7 to 10 shows a week. So sometimes you get three segments a day, sometimes only one. It just depends. And then on Thursday nights, I do a Full Throttle Thursday where my audience can join me and ask questions, things like that. And also, if you join, it's only $49 for the entire year. You get all the content in the world, but also you get a copy of my book, a digital copy, which is about a $12.99 value for free as well. So check it out, jbushow.substack.com.
Thanks. We'll go to our resident black lady here. Seth, where can people find you?
Hopefully not in jail. Facebook, The Conservative Corner, and then on X at the Conservative Corner. And then one last thing, I don't know if anybody's been paying attention, but the U.S. Navy's moved into position in the Persian Gulf. Whether you agree with what's going on or not, those are American men and women who are putting themselves on the line yet again. So remember them and don't concern yourself with why they're there. They have no choice. They've been ordered. They've been told. They're going where they're told. Keep them in your prayers. Keep them in your mind. Keep them, in your heart, because I was in the military. It ain't easy. And it's not fun, especially when you're going somewhere it could pop off at any second. It's not – it's stressful. It's stress that most people in their lives will never endure, ever. You can't imagine it. So just keep them in your mind. And if you don't agree with it, that's fine. But keep your mouth shut. They have no choice. They're doing what they're told. So that's, just keep them – because like I've told my friends, you don't send 2 battle groups and move that many planes and jets if you're not planning to do something.
Exactly.
And they know it, and their families know it. So just keep them in your prayers and your thoughts until this ends or until something happens to prevent it from starting.
Thank you for that. And, of course, we're saving the best for last and the youngest person on the panel. Eleana, where can people find you?
I don't think I'm the youngest.
No, that was a good move, though.
But I'll take it.
I'm a politician, see?
I think Damon probably is the youngest. I don't know. Maybe.
On all the usual social channels, you can find me at The Based Mother. And tomorrow night, because she's out of town, I am guest hosting the Alexandra 360 show here on America's Pulse Network. I believe it's at 7 p.m. You'll be able to catch me on her show. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you'll stop by for that.
Thank you guys for everything. Pray for our men and women over there in the Middle East and everywhere else. I thank you guys again. And it's been coming up on a year now for the Pulse. And you guys are off to a great start. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week at our next show. And thank you for everybody who tuned in and talked about your pets as well and reading all the comments. Thank you guys. Have a great night and God bless. We'll see you next time.
Good night.
God bless.
America's Pulse Network thanks you for watching tonight's episode of the Pulse Podcast. See you at the next packed episode that will take you from breaking news to informative topics. So please click on the subscribe button to get notified for upcoming episodes. If you liked what the Pulse covered, then share the Pulse Podcast with others. APN's The Pulse hosts look forward to seeing you on the next episode.